Hey everyone. Well, this morning when I woke up, my dead cousin visited me. Okay, she's not dead. We're going to get into that. But my cousin who's in spirit actually did visit me this morning, and I was shocked to say the least. All right? Now, that's not because I haven't had encounters with spirits, because I have been in this field for going 37 years now, actually going on 38 years. So, I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, but not this. So I'm going to share my story with you, but stick around because I want to explain why you're not hallucinating if you're having these experiences. Okay. It's actually not easy to see spirit. It's like it just happens. It's not something you can conjure. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to share my story because it just blew my mind. And the first thing that occurred to me after my cousin showed up and we had this beautiful conversation was that, wow, what a coincidence that I decided to talk about this only yesterday. Yes, only yesterday. I don't pre-plan my live streams, although all the YouTube experts will say, you got to plan your content, you got to have it all figured out. I don't roll that way because my agreement with the other side is I will talk about what they want me to talk about. So they were the ones that said, we want to talk about this. We want to talk about how people need to understand that they're not crazy, because we had somebody comment on our last video asking, how do I know I'm not crazy when I'm having these experiences? How do I know I'm not losing my mind? So let me just tell you my story, because this is really typical where something just happens out of the blue. You're not trying, there's no effort involved. It just happens, right? So this morning when I woke up, and I was just lingering in bed as I always do, and I hear Alan, my husband's on the other side. For those of you who don't know, he's been talking to me since 2020 when he crossed over. And now we work together. He comes through and he helps people. I've had mediums call on him and he shows up, and all manner of, let's say, encounters are happening, right? So I'm used to this, talking to Alan. That's typical. What happened this morning? Not used to it. All of a sudden, I feel and see my cousin there in front of me in my mind's eye. Like, just, it's hard to explain. Mind's eye is this is real as seeing physical. And I do see clairvoyantly that way. But she was right there looking vibrant. And now this is a cousin that I didn't really get to know well when she was in a body. We just were not close. I have a big family on my mother's side, lots of cousins. And I don't have close relationships with many of them because it's just how it is. And also she married and moved to California, so I never really stayed in touch. But in any case, she had passed away. She's passed away now for about 3 years or so. She crossed over. And when I go to her mom's house, she's my auntie. Her mother is my auntie. I've seen photos of my cousin as an adult and looking radiant. And so this was the image she presented to me, looking youthful, looking radiant. And she was just filled with love. And I said, Sharon, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? And she started to tell me that she wanted me to go to see her parents, who are still alive. And her mother is actually my last remaining relative on my mom's side, the last sibling standing of my mother's family. And so I've seen her not too long ago when my other cousins came to visit and we all went to lunch. So I I listened to Sharon. She said, could you please go and see them? And by the way, it's not an accident that before I showed up to you right now, you had a dream about my dad. And I remembered, like, oh yeah, like I actually had a dream of her father before this that I kind of forgot. And in the dream, he was there, and I was kind of just talking to him, and I never knew her dad very well. We never talked. He's not directly related to me. He's a beautiful soul, and I could see that in the dream, that he was just this amazing soul. But then when Sharon showed up, she said, "That's why you had the dream. I gave you that dream of my dad. could you go and see both of them? Now, and then she said to me, my mom will be pretty open to you conveying my message. My dad, not so much. But this is why I want you to do it. She says, I know that you're an awakener. I know that you activate people. I've seen it. All of us here, all your family, your grandmother, your mother, like your parents, like we all know that, and we're behind you. And then I felt this immense love come through from all of them. And they said, and we're so proud of you and we're behind you. And then Sharon said, I want my parents to not be afraid of transitioning. I want to prepare them, and not that they're going anytime soon. She wouldn't answer me when I said, well, are they, are they getting ready to leave? She said, no, but I know that they think about it and they're worried about it. And I want them to feel me more. And I know that once you talk to them, even if my dad kind of is polite, but internally rolls his eyes, she says, I know something will click in, because the truth is he is a spirit who is an eternal soul. That part of him is going to get activated when you just mention me coming to you and talking to you. It will wake up. Okay. It doesn't matter what his physical self, his physical logical mind says. That has nothing to do with it. She said on the soul level, something will ignite and he will start to feel me more. She says, he already is. He already is. But then he's like, oh, well, I'm making that up. Like I'm imagining it, right? Here's where I'm going to say to you, you're not hallucinating, just like her father's not hallucinating, but his logical mind is just dismissing it. So she said, go see him, go see them, talk to them, tell them of what I'm saying to you. And it doesn't matter what their response is. I am with them all the time. I have been since I crossed over. And I'm helping them as best I can. And she said, and by the way, your boot camp training that you're teaching, all of us in the spirit world, she says, and I speak for everybody in the spirit world, Alan, everybody, right? All of us would like you to offer it at the same price that you're offering it to your academy students. And I said, okay, done. Like done. That's fine. I'm working here for you, for in service to all that is, to my team, and of course to the other side. So I said, fine, that's not a problem. And she said, because people are going to be transformed. They already are from what you're doing with Alan. Right. And she says, and I know that it's not easy. I know that you work so long every day. You rarely take a day off. And we see this and we know that. And we're trying to get you to go take a break and go outside and all those things. But we know that this is your passion and this is your purpose. But we just want you to know how loved you are, how supported you are, and tell the people you work with or who are just finding you that their loved ones want to connect, and how transformative it is for us in the spirit world to have this experience. And that was when I saw Alan kind of step beside her. And she said, this is what's happened to Alan. And I said, what? And I look at Alan and what I saw was him, like his aura just illuminated like this rainbow. It's hard to describe. The aura wasn't white, it was tight around him. Like around him was just this shimmering, multicolored, iridescent light. And she said, all of the spirits who are connecting with loved ones in the physical world have the same energy. And she says, and while, of course, Pam, that when you're dead, you're really more alive than when you're in a body, we're fully alive. She said, nevertheless, the experience that Alan and others are having with their loved ones across the veil is a growth experience that cannot be found in the spirit world. How can it be found? You only can be found if we in spirit are connecting with someone who's in a body. And that person is open and engaging and raising their vibration, which helps us to come through and be able to experience the physical 3D world through them. She said that is such an extraordinary experience that's really hard for us to explain to you, but that's what it is, right? So it's important that people in a body understand that, yes, we are doing it because we want to connect and we don't want to lose our loved ones. You can't lose them anyway, but we want to have that continuing relationship, right? But she says, well, they want that too. They want to still be involved in your life. And very, very, very few people in a body are open to that. But those who are, their loved ones in spirit get to have, again, an experience unlike anything else. Okay, it is rare. She says it's rarer than gold. It's so rare that people who are attempting this need to understand the magnitude of it, what it means for their soul's growth and the growth of their loved one on the other side, right? Because very, very, again, very, very, very few souls get to experience this. But this is only possible, she said, because this is the time of the awakening. Now, she went on to say that her husband, she said, he won't be open to this. Don't even bother, even though he's a minister and he's rather open-minded. She goes, he's not into this. This is not his journey. She said, this is not his thing. And neither are my brothers. She said, don't worry about them. And she just explained some things that were coming. And she said, and by the way, I know you and I didn't get to be friends, close, because, I had my life, you had your life. And then I moved away because I got married and had a kid and all that. She says, but I'm here now and let's talk. Like, I'm here for you. I want to be one of your cheerleaders, although you have many of them in the spirit world. And so I hope we get to know each other better and we'll have this friendship, this relationship that we weren't able to have when I was here. And then she kind of faded away, right, from my field of vision. And I was just lying there, just feeling this immense love. And I just didn't know what to say. And Alan said, everything's happening right now for a reason. He said, you're going to reach more people. It's time for that. But go see your auntie and your uncle, okay, because they need you, and it's important, that you at least plant the seed, and that they start noticing and realizing the little things that she was already doing in their home, like they were feeling. That was Sharon, because Sharon said if they start noticing that, she can do more. Right. And then she will be able to give them the evidence. And this is what the other side said. They said, it's all well and good to go to mediums, but we can give you your own direct evidence. That they can't. All they can do is give you information. We can give you tangible feeling of presence, of love, and sure, signs, right? Like lights flickering and things like that. The other thing that Sharon showed to me, and then Alan kind of echoed, he kind of added on to it, was she said, you need to understand that you are a powerful medium. You always were. She goes, look at our grandmother. Our grandmother, it was an incredible medium and Kurt spirit and incredible channel, would go into trance. She goes, you're just like grandma. Said, but here's the difference. You came in with a lot of protection and you always wondered, like, why is that? Because I did have psychics tell me, like, whoa, why do you have all this protection around you? And I said, well, what? Like, am I in danger? Like, what is that about? And then Alan came in and he said, remember, Pam, that I always had spirits trying to like knock on the door, trying to get in when he was doing a reading with a client. They wanted to tell them something, right? Because that's really normal. Spirits want to come through, and if they see that you're open, they will just like harass you almost, right? And so he'd have that. I'd see him trying to fight the spirit off, like don't come into me. Not that they cannot possess you, because that's impossible, but they can try to connect and kind of get in there, right? Try to get into your head, trying to get the message. And I would see him literally trying to push them out. So he said, so remember what I went through. He said, that couldn't happen to you. Your guides knew that that couldn't happen to you because that's not your purpose. That's not your mission. Your mission was never to be a conventional medium because you are an activator, you are an awakener. And that's what you signed up for. That's what you agreed to. That doesn't mean you can't do mediumship. In fact, he says, you're a more powerful medium than I ever was because you don't have any limiting beliefs. And most mediums do. So he says, so you're really clear, completely clear, no fear, no nothing, and it'll just all come through. But that's why he says there are all these kind of like bouncers at the door saying, nope, can't come through to her. Like he says literally, and he kind of was joking about it, like they'll say, well, who are you? Is your name on my list? Like at a nightclub, right? Like, are you on the VIP list? And the list is short because it's like my parents, my brother, right? And he said to me, you can do mediumship. And in fact, Sharon says, they want you to do that, but very sparingly. And you have to be able and willing to say no when it doesn't feel right, because you still have that protection. And they're saying that because my superpower is really to work with people in groups. And that was what the other side primarily wanted me to focus on, right? It's like teaching large numbers of people. They said the larger, the better, because they'll come through really strong, the more people there are. And that's another reason why they said, could you please reduce the price of your interdimensional relationship boot camp, which is not just for people who have relationships they're trying to continue, but for anybody that wants to spiritually ramp up their awareness and clear their limiting beliefs, because we're going to do that in our boot camp, something we've never done before. And she showed me that would be very powerful. And that was why I had learned that process like many, many years ago. And now I was bringing forward some of the things that I learned before. So that just blew my mind. I was kind of walking around like in a trance for a little bit of the morning. Finally had to call our dear soul daughter, Maria. She's here like in the live chat moderating. And I said, I just have to tell you like what happened. It just blew my mind, and kind of anchor that experience into the physical. And the spirit said, and this is why we want to say to you, you're not crazy. They said, these encounters, like what I had, are happening to people all over the place. And most people are just going, like this, I must be crazy, or this is, weird, and they don't know what to do with it, right? It's understandable. But it's going to increase. It's not going to ever decrease. And so they want me to let people know, so that not if anymore, when you have some sort of spiritual, paranormal, whatever encounter you want to call it, whatever label you want to put on it, whenever you have that you don't immediately go into, oh, I'm making it up, because that just shuts the door to the other side, right? If you go into fear, that also shuts the door to the other side. Instead, just lean into that and embrace it. And my suggestion would be to say to yourself, well, I don't know what the heck just happened, but I do know that something happened, so that you claim it, so that you own it, even if you don't understand it. Okay, so when you at least claim it and say, I know something happened, and it's very unusual. Let's see what else, right? Like, be open to exploring that. And you'll be surprised what might happen next. I'm not saying in that moment, but later, right? When you're ready. So what we're teaching here on this whole channel, I don't think anybody, to my knowledge, is teaching it the way we're teaching it. I don't think anyone teaching what we're teaching has somebody in a body me and then Alan, right, in spirit, working, he says, both dimensions, interdimensionally. And both of us have been trained in this for going now close to 40 years, right? So if somebody else is doing this, please let me know. I'd like to go and shake their hand, virtually, and meet them and support them, because this is the time of awakening. And what that means for you, if you're watching this and you're wondering, like, are you crazy? Or you're wanting to have that contact with the other side, is just to stay positively focused and let go of your fears and limiting beliefs. Those are the only things that are going to get in your way. I didn't have any fear of the other side. I didn't have really any limiting beliefs about anything spiritually or psychically, and none of that. I grew up kind of around my grandmother some of the time, and I realize now that she was already like influencing me. She said that she knew that I was going to do this work, so she was like, in a way, programming me, I guess, like supporting me. And when I did open up, she told my mother that I was just like her and that my mother should support me, which my mother completely did. From that moment on, my mother believed in me, even when other people were maybe scratching their heads or whatever. My mom completely knew what I was here to do, who I was, and that my grandmother was always going to be on my side and in my corner. And my mother heard my grandmother. And my mother at the time wasn't open psychically, but my grandmother made sure to come through to say, just support Pam. She's just like me. But I'm here to say, you are just like me too. I'm not special. Not really. I don't want you to think that. I want you to understand that you and me, all of us, we're all special. We're all souls who have a life purpose to be who we truly are. That's your number one purpose. Your number one purpose is to be who you authentically, genuinely are. If you don't do that, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how famous you are. None of that counts for anything when you cross over. It's, or are you living as you truly are? How well did you love? Did you give love? Did you receive love? Those are the measurements that matter. None of the other things count. They're like nothing. And you find that out when you cross over. So just never question yourself and think you're crazy, okay? Because here's the deal. Here's what we're going to close on. Think about it. People who are truly crazy, they never ask that question, am I crazy? It wouldn't even occur to them. You're too crazy to even worry about being crazy. So if you think you're crazy, that's a sign that you're not. And in any case, the people who are walking around talking to invisible people, who the hell says their invisible people are not there? There are people who see other realities and are interacting with the other realities. The only challenge is that they're not interacting with you and me in this reality, right? They're in their own little loop of that world. But that doesn't mean that they're making it up. Spirit has said to me, you can't really make anything up because everything you think is actually there, because thoughts create. So this whole idea that you're just imagining something that isn't there is a lie. You're interacting with a reality that other people are not in the frequency of, so they can't perceive it. But that doesn't mean you're crazy or that you're making it up. Just like people who have dementia. Dementia. What? The root word of that? Demented, right? It doesn't mean that they're not actually aware, as Alan told me after he crossed over, because he died of Alzheimer's. And he said, I was 100% aware of what everything was happening. I knew what you were saying. I knew what was going on, 100%. But my brain wasn't working and I couldn't talk to you. I couldn't express myself. I couldn't even control my body a lot of the times. Okay, all that. So you have to understand the apparatus of the physical wasn't working, but my consciousness was always there, fully alert and aware and understanding. I just couldn't get the words out. Like somebody says, she was showing me, it's like somebody who has a stroke, right? They've suffered a stroke and now they can't talk. Maybe they can't even move their face or whatever. It doesn't mean they're not thinking or processing and understanding, right? They're just not able to interact, just like the person who's schizophrenic, who's in the loop of that reality and can't like stop and talk to you or me. That doesn't mean they're insane, except from the perspective of the outer world that says, well, if I can't talk to this person who has dementia or this person who's schizophrenic, they're crazy and they're not able to hear me or understand me. That's not true. Consciousness understands everything always. We're talking about the limitation of the physical being who then has some sort of disorder or inability to interact multidimensionally, right? Like, okay, I'm here interacting with this other reality and I got to talk to you in this other reality. That takes a lot of juggling. Not everybody's good at that. It's very disoriented. But let's make one thing clear. Consciousness is always alert and aware and understands, right? Those are two different things. So you're not crazy if you're seeing, feeling, hearing, smelling, tasting something that other people go, well, I didn't smell that. I didn't hear that. I didn't taste that, right? You're not crazy. What's happening is you're expanding your consciousness and you have this energy body, this awareness that's becoming more sensitive, and you're noticing what's always been there, but you weren't able to pick up on it until maybe that moment. But it was always there. Your space, my space here is packed with spirits. It's that way throughout the physical world. You are never alone in your space. You're surrounded by benevolent beings who love you, who support you, trying to do everything they can to help you. But you and I have got to take action. And we've got to line up our beliefs, right? What we believe with what we say we want. So if I say I want contact with my husband across the veil, then I better make damn sure that my beliefs align with that I trust it, that I believe it, that I ignore the outer reality, the outer world filled with people who will put this down, will mock you. They'll be the ones that call you crazy. You gotta you gotta not give a shit what other people think. I've been on this planet for 72 years now. I don't care. I have nothing to prove. Don't agree with me? Here's the door. I don't care. Don't like me? I don't care. Call me crazy? Go right ahead. I don't care. You need to get to that point too, where you trust your own inner knowing and know that you're worthy and that your soul, because you're a soul, is psychic and you're a born medium because you're psychic. Anybody can talk to their loved ones across the veil, but you have to believe first. Without belief, you have no foundation. Zero. Without belief, you're basically flip-flopping and listening to other people and you're taking other people's opinions. What kind of life is that? You've got to be true to you. You got to know who you are. And you and I are blessed because we have loved ones on the other side who are supporting us in that, who, if we let them interact with us, right, just by trusting what we're experiencing, believing in it wholeheartedly, that love that they're sharing with us, that can awaken us, that can help us connect more easily and more strongly. And most importantly, it can help us be who we truly are. Because you and I were born from love, created from love. That is our basic energy, right? Everything is love. and you look out in the world right now, people are either choosing fear or love. There's no middle ground. You need to decide what you stand for, who you are. That matters. You either stand for love and stand for fear. Either one. Stand for fear, one or the other. Not both. You can't do both. They don't really mix, right? Fear separates, judges, criticizes, condemns. Okay? Love, what is that? Union, acceptance, right? It brings together even things that don't always easily mix. It's inclusive, never separates, never judges, never condemns. It understands that the all is source. So if everything is source, how could it ever judge anyone and condemn them or separate them or say you're not good enough, right? You either stand for one or the other. This is the time of the choosing. And you can't stand in the middle anymore. You're seeing that already. You have to decide. If you don't decide, you're going to lean in the area that you are unconsciously more aligned with, which for most people will be fear. Because fear is strong on the earth plane. And fear is a powerful manifesting energy of negativity. And you're seeing that play out right now. It's all going to be okay. It really is. But you got to choose love, like every time. Choose love if you want to create that world for yourself and not worry about what other people are creating. It doesn't have to touch you. It really doesn't. That's what we're teaching about in our boot camp. If you want to learn more, dive in. This is not something I've had people lately write me and ask me all these questions, right? About why is there so much like contradictory information about spirituality and all that. I mean, literally, they read me all these like long lengthy lists. And I go, I can't answer that in an email. I can't even answer that in a live, one live, right? It takes what we're going to do 8 weeks of talking and teaching for 2 hours every week, and then other sessions maybe in between. And for me to tell you this, because this information is going to change your map of reality or not, because that's your choice. But what we're teaching you is the truth about how the universe works, what the afterlife is really about, who you really are, and how you can open up and navigate all this, right? But I can't explain that in an email. And by the way, we love you very much, but people who reach out to me and try to message me on Messenger or whatever, I'm sorry, but I don't always reply. I can't. I'm inundated. Join our Skool community, Supernatural Love Inner Circle. I would suggest not necessarily joining our Facebook group, because we're trying to direct people to our Skool community where we can put more content for you safely. It's not safe on Facebook. I'm very, very uncomfortable on Facebook right now. I don't want to go into that. Let's just say it's more toxic than you understand. Skool is a much safer platform. Plus, I pay for that community, so I can manage it, right? And Facebook, I can't. Your info is not safe on Facebook. Skool, you're much safer. So join our boot camp. If you can't afford it, it's $97 for 8 weeks, for actually a total of 12 sessions, because it includes some bonus sessions. If you can't afford that, watch our channel. Watch our channel. This is why I go live, and there's so much content here. Watch everything and come every week. On Tuesday, I'm either going to go live like I'm doing now, or we'll upload a video. But in Skool, I will be able to put some content, paid content from my workshops that I will never put on Facebook. Are you kidding? Facebook has actually lost some of my content in the past. So Facebook is not the future. That's the past. We're moving towards Skool, Skool, skool.com. Go look for us, Pam and Alan Johnson. That's us, and that's our group. And the group is Supernatural Love Inner Circle. All right. So If you're watching us live, some of you are in the chat, please comment. And if you're watching it later, comment anyway, okay? Because we're trying to get the word out to let people know that you can continue relationships and you can heal your grief. You don't have to just endure the grief or kind of make peace with the grief. You can actually replace the grief. Do I look like somebody who's grieving? I've been happier than I've ever been since Alan passed. I know it sounds really crazy because he says to me all the time, "You're so much happier now that I'm dead." Because we weren't having a good time when he was in a body. We weren't, both of us weren't. And now I have him with me all the time. I feel immersed in love all the time. And I want others to have the same extraordinary experience if they're ready for it. And I get it. Not everybody's ready for it. In fact, he says most people are not ready for it. That's okay. But if you're ready for it, you'll feel it. You'll feel it to the core of your being. And so the next question is, what are you going to do about it? Right. All of our contact information is here on YouTube. Join our Skool community if you can, and join our boot camp if you can. And if you can't, then we wish you well. And I want to assure you, you're not crazy. All right. Besides, look around out there in the world. Who are the crazy ones? Who are the crazy ones? Hey, it ain't you or me. Not happening. All right. So we love you. Thanks for commenting. Your comments help the video get shown more to people, and that means more people get helped and find hope. Right. So take care till next time. We'll see you. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.